Folks. How are we all this morning? What the hell's going on? Morning. Morning, Robert. Morning, Stuart. Morning, Margaret. Morning, Robert again. Morning, Karen. Morning, Kirsty. Morning, Linda. Morning, Jacqueline. Morning, Ian. Morning, Barbara. And what we got to the other side here, we've got morning, Ali. Morning, Dunk. Morning, Eddie. Susan. Steve. Alba History. Lorraine. Hugh. Morning, Graham. Big Ray. Brian. Lenny. Aki's Mad. Morning, Stephen. Morning, Jim. Morning, Alistair. Right, where are we? Nearly there. Couple of minutes, we'll get moving. Well, really starting to fly through the roof now. So that's more than 100 of you on board. So let's get this broadcast underway. Indy Truck Davey. Out the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it's you've got overcast at the moment, but not a bad morning. 15 degrees. That's the weather forecast for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. You want to know the weather's like where you are? Look at your own bloody windy. All right, so let's get this review of the news underway. This is a review of the news from the 20th to the 9th, 2022. Better known to you and me as yesterday. Right, Tuesday started with only one team in the rags. Rampant, sycophantic, monarchist crap. Now, the wackiest headline of the day was, "We sent her victorious." I said, geez, oh, that was the wackiest one. We sent her victorious. Sent her victorious. I only if the goal was to see our sycophantic subjects in England return to the days of Dickens. A raw sewage in the water. Food banks more numerous than a well-known food chain. Poverty rife in all age groups. Human rights abuses are the norm. The Elizabethan era will be recorded by historians as one where inequalities and poverty grew. One where living standards rose slightly, only to be reversed dramatically. And I mean, gone to levels that have never been seen by anybody alive today, probably. Well, one or two will probably have seen it. Anyway, a legacy will be of her class prospering at the expense of her subjects. So the Elizabethan era will not be remembered fondly by history, even if it is remembered fondly by sycophants because of trumpeted crap in the news. All right. Anyway, let's hope that's the last we see and hear of this nonsense for a while, but probably not. No doubt there will be a good King Chuck story every day in the news till the serfs learn to love the lying, cheating adulterer, who is now head of state across the UK and head of the Church of England. Mental. Right, moving on. Tuesday sees the Scottish Parliament go back in session. The session opens with a tributes to the Duchess of Balmoral and the swearing in of a new Tory list MSP. And that's the first MSP to swear allegiance to Chuck. All right. Also Tuesday, the mainstream media in Scotland gets straight back to telling us how crap we are at everything. All right. The Scottish government stroke system crap story of the day is NHS A&E waiting times. Now, apparently the worst since the SNP Scottish government introduced the targets of seeing and processing people in 4 hours in the accident emergency departments. Now, apparently only 63.5% were seen in 4 hours. Health Secretary Humbert Youssef says the stats don't look good, and he's determined to improve on them. The cuckoos and the nests Well, they go after chumps screaming Scottish government crap, Scottish NHS service crap. All right. Now, the number of people attending A&E is also up, by the way, which could be a contributing factor. All right. Now, in the latest weekly figures, 27,096 people attended A&E. A pre-pandemic, and I've looked, the average in 2020 to 2021 was about 2,200 people a week. So it would appear that those who were only getting treated during the pandemic are showing up in droves at hospitals. Okay, the other NHS bad story yesterday was Scotland crap story yesterday was excess deaths in Scotland up 10% on a rolling 5-year average, whatever the hell the rolling 5-year average is. Anywho, the stats say 14,982 people died from the 1st of April to the 30th of June in 2022, up 9.7% on the 5-year average for the period, which was 13,660 deaths for the same quarter, well, 5 years. All right, so that's the rolling 5-year average. Now, the National Records for Scotland say there is no single reason for the spike, and then go and blame it. And then they go in and say it's due to illness. All right. So, no specific reason. Then they go in and tell us it's because of an increase of deaths due to illness. All right. So, the deaths due to illness, of course, will be COVID and people who's had illnesses that went undetected while we were in lockdown and while services were closed. So, it would appear that the death rate for the quarter, April to June, has seen the death rate or excess deaths up 9.7%, roughly 10%. And we are going to see more of that going forward. When you've got 2.5 years of people not appearing for treatment or presenting for treatment, then when they eventually do get whacked with these illnesses properly, then the outcome's not going to be as good as what it would be if it had been detected early. So there you have it. Excess deaths up and A&E waiting times up. The amount of people attending NHS services is also up. Okay. Right, moving on. Tuesday. And support staff at three Scottish universities go on strike. Glasgow University, Robert Gordon Uni and Edinburgh Napier are all hit by the action over pay. Unions say their members are sick of below inflation pay deals. Understandable. The pay offer from the Universities and Colleges Employers Association ranged from 3% for higher earners, and it was bottom loaded to go as high as 7.2% for lower earners. Right. Now, the strikes for 2 days, so yesterday and today, with more action planned in October. Glasgow Caledonian University support staff were due to go on strike, but called it off to consider a new offer. If they don't like the new offer, they will join the other 3 universities going on strike action in October. Okay, now the support staff who went on strike were cleaners, library staff, IT support staff, and security officers. So it didn't really affect the lecturers. It didn't. So although there would be disruption to services in the schools, in the universities, I dare say that the education could continue throughout this one. All right. Right, moving on. Tuesday, and SEPA's annual report into Scotland's greenhouse gas emissions is released. Now, what SEPA are saying is that greenhouse gases from Scotland's industrial sector is down 5%. But they also highlight an incident at a meat production plant in Perth, where fluoridant gas was released. Now, apparently these fluoridant gases are very, very damaging to the atmosphere. In fact, they're 10 times or so more damaging than CO2 emissions or carbon dioxide emissions to you and me. So anyway, the meat plant in Perth made up 87% of the 2021 fluorinated gas releases, and that was down to a failure of the refrigeration system. The fluoridated gases are much more damaging. Is a much more damaging greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide, and that's why that particular gas is monitored. All right, now, SEPA say there's an ongoing investigation into the February 2021 release of these fluorinated gases from the Angle meat production plant operated in Perth. Now, SEPA also said that the plant has now changed its refrigeration system to something much more environmentally friendly. So, but apparently it's a big deal, this gas getting released, and it's not good for the environment. All right, moving on, Tuesday. And the bizarre story in the Times claims Scottish Tories have hired one of Jim Murphy's old policy advisors amid a staff exodus from the Tories. Now, the guy Craig Patterson had claimed to be a senior advisor to Jim Murphy, mind him, ex-Labour MP who was going to become the leader of the Scottish Labour Party up here, but failed to get elected. Anyway, this guy Craig Patterson claimed he was one of Murphy's senior advisors, so the Tories were going to hire him until it was pointed out by Jim Murphy. They'd never heard of the guy, never seen the guy. So, mental, absolutely mental. Anyway, this guy, Craig Patterson's not getting a job with the Tories now because it turns out he was a liar, which I thought would be exactly the right qualifications to join the Tory party. They're all bloody liars. So that was one of the weirder stories yesterday, all right? So, there you have it. Moving on, Tuesday, down that road, and the UK government's aid to businesses announced by the haunted pencil, Jacob Rees-Mogg, all right? Now, they have to get a third, from between a third up to 50% or half their electricity and gas costs covered for the next 6 months. All right? Now, apparently their unit cost, whatever the size their units are in business, is a £4.67. But they will only be charged £2.93, with the taxpayer picking up the other £1.70 of their bills. So between a third and a half of the bills you covered, with us picking up the tab. So another huge transfer of wealth from the public purse to the already profit-making and burgeoningly rich energy providers and energy suppliers. So what we're really seeing here is a lack of a will in the government to actually regulate and tax these buggers correctly. And that means that we, the taxpayer, are picking up the tab while they are making massive profits and getting massive subsidies from us, the taxpayer. They're projected to make 170 billion over the next 2 years. We are projected to give them between 100 and 150 billion in subsidies over the next 2 years to keep our bills down, giving them a profit of probably about 400 billion over the next 2 years, while we, the taxpayer, stomp. Instead of taxing that 170 billion correctly and capping energy costs, they're giving our money away. Simple as that. Massive transfer of wealth. And this time, it's not to households, it's to businesses. Businesses that probably ain't going to survive anyway, because when we Mrs. McGumper's name money in her pocket, she can't spend into the economy contracts. So we're going to be giving energy providers huge amount of money for businesses to go tits up anyway. Right, moving on Tuesday, down that road, and the new Chancellor in the Exchequer, Kazi Kartang, refuses to publish the latest updates of the UK's economic forecast provided to him by the Office for Budget Responsibility ahead of Friday's mini-budget. Anyhow, the report from the OBR rubbishes Trussonomics. All right, all forecasters, them all, including Biden yesterday, said trickle-down economics don't work. Just doesn't work. But that is Trussonomics. Trickle-down. And our plan is to give to the rich at the expense of the poor, hoping that the rich will spend and that will benefit the poor. That's not what happens, as we know. Anyway, the draft forecast produced and submitted didn't include the cost of energy crisis. The OBR, they've given Khartoum the final report on the updated economic forecast, but the draft report, which was released, doesn't include energy costs. And when the OBR asked Khartoum if he wants the updated one that he gets to base his budget on, with the cost of energy crisis factored in, apparently Khartoum said no. So, the Tories are getting really good at hiding reports, the criminal cabal. Now, this is just another cover-up for the criminal cabal. They don't want us to realise how bad things are getting, all right? But I mean, they're done a bit of that. You've got wee Gobi defying the courts and no releasing the polls on attitudes to the union. We had that hideous creature at the Department of Work and Pensions refusing to release the impact report on the change out of universal credit. And now the latest economic forecast is being withheld. I guess it's no pretty. But we don't need it to be released to know it's no pretty. We've been talking about it all week, or last week actually, and now we've started again this week. So, whatever's in these reports that are being withheld, the attitude to the union polls, the impact report on universal credit, and the latest economic forecast, whatever's in them isn't good. There's a reason they're hiding them. Right, moving on. Tuesday, a new head of the Conservative criminal cabal is in the US of A, ahead of a United Nations meeting of some sort. Anywho, while there, Truss has to admit that there will be no free trade deal with America coming anytime soon. Now mind, that's what was sold to the English people to get them to leave Europe. Don't worry about it. We're only leaving the market at 450 million customers. We're gaining a market of 330 million customers in the US of A. Well, here we are, all these years on, 6 years on, no trade deal and no trade deal lightly. Biden once again warns Truss about the NI protocols and the Good Friday Agreement. And he also, as I say, he warns Truss about our tax cuts and our return to trickle-down economics. Biden says he's sick of trickle-down economics. It doesn't work. And we all know it doesn't work. Trickle-down economics has been the economic model since I've been on this planet. And poverty has never disappeared. It's lessened to degrees, and now it's gone in the other direction. For a short period of time, life expectancy grew, and prosperity grew, but that was for a very short period of time. The rest of my life, poverty has been rife. So, it doesn't work there, trickle-down economics. Anyway, while she's in the States, Truss is asked about her banker's bonuses when the banker's bonus wees when people are struggling. Truss says she wants people to get the high-paying jobs they deserve. I take it she means bankers. So if it means the rich get richer, so be it. This is all part of her trickle-down fish. All right. Now, as I say, back at trickle-down economics again. A failed model which hasn't worked in my lifetime. Well, what we know is when the rich get rich, they don't spend it in the economy. They hold that offshore to avoid paying tax and public services. Suffer. Right, also Tuesday, back here in Scotland, the new youth-free bus pass scheme clocks up its 2.1 million journeys. Now over half of those eligible for the bus pass have applied and they have got their passes. Still no, the uptake still no where it should be, kids. Folks, if you've got relatives with children between 12 and 22, get them and get these kids a bus pass. Anyway, so far 930,000 of our young people have taken up the opportunity to get free bus travel, and 2.1 million journeys have now taken place. That's an SNP good story. Had to dig that one out. Sorry, SNP Green Scottish Government good story. Had to dig that one out. Right, moving on Tuesday, North Sea, a transition authority says emissions from North Sea oil and gas set to rise as production ramps up. Figures show emissions down 14.6% on 2020 figures, but without major investment by, well, I guess they mean the taxpayer, because these big oil and gas giants don't tend to do any investing themselves, do they? They just go to the government for tax cuts and use our money and tax rebates and use our money for investing and then making more money. Anyway, what the North Sea Transition Authority is saying is, without major investment in the sector to get them to go green, then they'll miss their 2030 targets to half emissions from the North Sea oil and gas sector. But as we know, there's another round of licensing, which is going to see something like 300 new fields open up. I mean, that's mental. So much for it was running out. Ian Woods should be in court for misleading the people. It would appear there's bloody plenty of it. Right, anyway. It doesn't really matter about emissions anymore. The criminal cabal under Truss has thrown the COP26 agreements under a bus. That's why they're doing that road. They've got human effluents in their water. And that's why doing that road, it will soon be joined by fracking fluids, as they intend to frack down that road. So, water full of human waste, make them ill, and soon to be joined by fracking fluids. Wonderful, eh? What a mess little England's in. An absolute mess. It's an economic basket case. It's democracy, or what passes for democracy, is a sham. And they keep voting for people who are stamping on their human rights and makes them worse off. There's something not right with people doing that road, voting for self-harm. Moving on Tuesday, and 2.3 billion is pledged to Ukraine for 2023, and military aid that is. But speaking of the Ukraine, it's announced Tuesday Vladimir Putin intends to hold referendums in occupied territories in the UK, and then he will declare that those territories are now part of Russia. Now, the rest of the world has sat up, had one look at it and said, you know what, we're not going to recognise the outcome of any votes in the occupied territories in Ukraine, because you can't count the votes of people who are voting at gunpoint as being honest votes. I mean, if you're being forced into a polling station and tell you vote to join Russia with a gun at your head, then you're going to vote to join Russia. So it wouldn't be a valid vote, would it? No. Aye, Alba. The lie about the oil running out was a huge lie. There's people who should be in court for willfully misleading the people. Aye, perhaps there is something in the water down there, Hugh, which keeps making them vote for self-harm. Right, and finally for Tuesday, Liz Truss's top aide is not at her side in America. Why not? It would appear Truss's top advisor, Mark Fulbrook, is a person of interest to the FBI for alleged bribery, corruption, and subversion of democracy in the US. So the new Prime Minister's top advisor, Mark Fulbrook, is wanted in the US for bribery, corruption, and subversion of democracy. Criminal cabal, right enough down that road. And we already know the Tories are subverting democracy here on these islands and ignoring democracy altogether in Scotland and Northern Ireland. There we have it. Right, so things are not going well with Brexit, and the chances of a trade deal with America are slim to bugger all. And it looks like there could well be a trade war back on the cards because Truss is digging in. Okay. Picnic bars are back in fashion. I'm sure there's a point to that, but I'm not sure what it is. Right, let's have a look and see what the rags have got to say this morning, shall we? Right, according to this, the rags. The King's return to Balmoral and trust tax cuts. All right, so the Metro has returned to Balmoral. Kings flies back to a state where his mother died to mourn her in private, apparently. The Scottish Daily Mail has got back in Scotland to mourn in peace. Soonest, the Daily Record has Charles flies to Scotland, King's private sorrow. But there's another interesting one there. Soonest, Graham Souness, ex-footballer, but he thinks himself a bit of a hard man, apparently. He blasts Celtic fans. Celts must condemn royal protest. Why? Why must they? This is the mindset of a small-minded bigot, Mr. Souness. And if you want to discuss the issue, I'm quite happy to debate it with you. Although, seeing you with a lot of knocks in your head playing football, you probably won't make any bloody sense anyway. Nut job. There you go. Ex-Rangers player says we can't discuss democracy and the head of state. Mental. The Scottish Daily Mail, the Looney Rag has public back king over slimmed down monarchy. And according to the Looney Rag, the Looney Express Rags readers, 2/3 of Scots think Charles will make a good king. They must be making this piss up, honestly. Because we tend to ignore them. The Times has trust proper shake up to widen UK tax divide. So there you go. Less tax for the rich, more tax for the poor. This time it's a stamp duty, apparently. She's going to cut stamp duty to try and get more people, first-time buyers, on the ladder, on the property ladder, to try and get the economy moving. They haven't got a Scooby, have they? You know, you can cut stamp duty on buying properties in England all you want. It's not going to help. People don't have any money to buy houses. They haven't built any bloody houses either. Their affordable home scheme, over the last 5 years, has built 0 homes. 0. The eye has mortgage rate shock as trust cuts taxes, right? Many people with mortgages are facing a shock of rising interest rates over the next 4 months, according to the eye. The paper says the Bank of England are predicted to rise rates by 2 percentage points to 3.75, which could cost the average of $200 a month on a tracker mortgage, apparently. Anyway, interest rates predicted to rise by 2 percentage points in the next 4 months. Base rate climbs to 3.75%, costing the average £200 a month on their mortgage. Biden has a go at trusts, where tax cuts and trickle down economics. And Friday's mini budget, the PM and her Chancellor Kazi Karzai will reverse national insurance hikes and cancel the planned increase to corporation tax. And this leads to concerns that it's going to drive inflation. Yeah, well, the Scotsman has business chiefs and talked to his fleet of Scottish ministers. CBI head appeals for dialogue as firms wait to hear details of energy support. Reserve matter, don't want to talk to Scottish ministers about it for. The Herald has anger as lack of SNP planning for refugees hit services. Now what they're saying is that the plan to end homelessness is under pressure because of the influx of refugees from Ukraine and the need to house them. Okie dokie. And by the way, the picture in the Herald is a picture of Truss standing in front of what looks like the Empire State Building. The Telegraph goes with Putin set to declare occupied land parts of Russia. Doesn't matter what he declares. The National has unionists accused of hypocrisy over Queen comments. Jack and Brown under attack for seemingly selective criticism of media discussions of impact on support for guests. The leading psychologist, John Curtis, has said that there won't be any impact, the death of the crowd, on Scottish independent support. The Evening Express, vigil of tears for murdered mum. The Press and Journal, Rennie accused wife, and never stabbed her. Whatever that's all about. And the courier goes on. Probe into Hughes gas leak from abattoir in Perth. Edinburgh Evening News, supermarket prices rise, hitting hard. According to the Edinburgh Evening News, they've done a wee survey, and fruit and veg is through the roof. There you go. And the Daily Star has for us today, Howie and Phil deny pushing in at funeral. Who do you think you are? 27,000 plus signed petition to get TV couple axed, but insiders fear gutted star Holly might quit. So apparently 2 TV presenters were pushing into a queue somewhere. I guess they mean the queue. Yeah. That'll be the queue. So there'll be a TV series about the queue at some point in time in the future. I see figures out for the old Jelly Beans funeral. Over the course of Monday, 26 million people tuned in at one point or another. No, they didn't. They were flicking channels and ended up catching a bit of it. That was it. You know. And apparently more people watched the Euro finals than watched the state funeral. Only 39% of watched the funeral, etc. Why is that? Well, because nobody was interested, David. Simple as that. Nobody was interested. And by the way, the figures make it quite clear that people just tuned in and out. They didn't watch the whole bloody thing. Or very few did. Okie dokie. Right, that's what I've got for you today, folks. I hope you found it entertaining. I hope you found it informative. I hope the delivery was on cue. No sweary words a day, no much in the way of ranting. But that's just the way it goes. I can't lose my temper every day. Blood pressure to look after, you know. So the usual stuff. We're back in the game. The sycophantic monarchy sugar is out the road. What do you call it? So eyes on the prize. Let's get back to campaigning. All the signs are that this referendum will go ahead, by the way, folks. So eyes on the prize. Learn you how you gonies and get out there and win hearts and minds. Now remember, folks, that how you gonies, when stupid questions are asked of you by unionists, like what currency you going to use, answer. You know, the Scottish pound. It's already been decided by the Scottish government at a conference that they were going to introduce their own currency. How are you going to do central banks? Answer, same as everybody else, your spanners. How are we going to do borders? Same way everybody else does, your spanners. How are we going to do international trade? Same way everybody else does, your spanners. It's the same question, same answer to all the questions. How does anybody else do it? Highly intelligent people will copy and paste. All right. So that actually answers all the unionist stupid questions. So learn how you going is get out there and win hearts and minds, because this referendum's going to go ahead. Okay, support the independent media, support Broadcasting Scotland, support Independence Live, support Indie Live Radio, support Caledon Media, support Trues Radio, support the iScot magazine, support the national newspaper, and support independent bloggers and bloggers. And if you've got a few shekels and they've got a crowdfunder on the go and you can afford to throw it in the pot, please do. These people do marvellous work. Okay. Now, health messaging, I've not been bothered with it really, but remember, follow the last 2 bits of guidance. Okay. Face masks in enclosed public spaces, clean hands and surfaces regularly. Wee bit of social conscience, folks. If you're not feeling well, mask up and social distance from your neighbours, your friends and neighbours, all right? And if you're still using NHS lateral flow tests, please submit your results. You guys live in our community. It lets health and social care workers live in our community. It helps keep an eye on what's going on out there. Okay, look after yourselves, folks. We'll be back today all again tomorrow. Have a nice day.